Good morning. Welcome to Investigator News, and I'm your host, Ellie. And boy, it's a quiet in the chat room. So if you're over there in Facebook and want to make a comment or have a question, put it down below in the comments, and I'll make sure I see it. And we had a pretty good weather show. I kind of giggled a lot about the guy's hair at the beginning, but then it was a list of what to say to telemarketers. So go on back and watch it. It was a lot of them were pretty funny. I was stuck on one for a while. Sometimes I do that. I see something funny and boy, it just sticks with me for the day. Don't worry, William. I'm not going to call you with that voice. Boy, took me. I practiced that voice for about half hour this morning. So, boy, we have a lot of interesting news this morning. One being that. Um, 20 million tons of grain in Ukraine is waiting to be exported. They say their silos are full, and but blocked due to the ongoing war. And a bid to free up the grain and address the growing global food crisis at the present, not only in our country but other countries. U.S. Uh, Joe Biden on Tuesday said that he's working with European allies to get the grain out of Ukraine and into the market and bring food prices down. Since Russia invaded Ukraine back in February, grain shipments from Ukraine have been stalled, and more than 20 million tons is now stuck in silos. And Ukraine has said that it faces shortages in the facilities for new crops. And the war is stocking prices for grains, cooking oil, fuel, fertilizers, and Russia and Ukraine account for nearly a third of the global wheat supplies. And Ukraine is also a major exporter of corn and sunflower oil. Now, Biden said that he plans to get the grain out by rail and build temporary silos on the borders, except for a lot of the train tracks and some of even the stations have been hit by war. He wants to try to get it on the border real close to Poland, and the grain could be transferred from the Ukrainian railway cars to new silos and then into European freight trains and go from there. They said ships heading across the world. And Ukraine says the best way to export the grain is through ships from the Black Sea. But that route is currently blocked. And since the war has started, Ukraine and Russia have laid sea mines. Some 84 foreign ships are stuck in Ukraine ports with many green cargoes on board. 27 don't want to protect the judges. That is really sad. You would think that we would have many that wouldn't. They would do everything they could to protect these judges. And now that they took the vote on it, we're finding out 27 just it just didn't go for it. And we'll find out more about that. Biden praises police in public, but weirdly enough, this is, we know he doesn't tell the truth, and his pro-police rhetoric is hollow to a lot of political theater. And while Biden administration has publicly distanced itself from the talks to defund the police, um, basically we've seen nationwide crime waves, and it has been quietly hosted numerous defund the police activists. According to the White House visitor logs, in December, anti-police activist Rojas is visited the White House, according to the visitor logs. And Rojas is race hustling Joe Biden and not only that, but Rojas is the president of the leftist Marguerite Casey Foundation that has repeatedly called for abolishing the police. And her Twitter feed, it has rants against phantom white supremacy and tweets lionizing the career of George Floyd, and whose death in Minneapolis police custody ignited Black Lives Matter riots in the summer of 2020. The thing with the Black Lives Matter, and this lady won't recognize it, is we all condone that. We all said it was wrong. Nobody ever said that we didn't agree with them, and we all felt that that knee on the neck just was gone too far. So the Marguerite Casey Foundation also bankrolls decisive anti-racist research, whose goal is essentially to blame all of society's woes on shame and white supremacy. So this is something that we didn't know about, but this anti police woman, Rojas, has been at the White House numerous, at least a dozen times. Now, in July 2021, anti police activist Rashad Robinson of racial justice group and the Color of Change visited the White House for a meeting with Cedric Richmond, who was then the top Biden advisor. And a 2021 Richmond, who is black, made headlines after Biden referred him to using the racially loaded monkeyer boy. So, as we can see, they have had anti-police come and visit the White House numerous occasions, both of those individuals. And that's nothing we've heard on the news yet until now. Let's see, it was with the Western Journal that was a part of. Uh, and, not only that, but uh, we have to, when we look at the Supreme Court, one of the things that these protesters seem to forget is the neighbors. And the neighbors say that it's scary. They come, get this, they protest Kavanaugh's house on Wednesdays. I believe it's Wednesdays and Fridays. And Wednesdays and Saturdays around 7 p.m., disturbing locals nearby who were trying to put their children to bed, or if they see them leave the house to walk the dog, they follow and heckle them. So this is a horrific experience. The neighbor told the outlet, and it's not great if you have kids any age, but unbelievably stressful. And the kids are very upset. The kids have been sent to inside, and it's so loud you can put your you can't put your kids to sleep. It's that loud. I mean, they got the bullhorn, they got the drums, and these people just don't look all there. And they're very loud, the neighbor says, and very, very, very aggressive. And they dance in the streets as well. And they go in the street, and we've been told that because they will move eventually when a car comes down the street, they are not technically blocking the street. So despite the local noise ordinance restricting the sound producing devices such as leaf blowers, protesters and openly flout local laws. Well, it's okay that they scream on a bullhorn, but they can't they're not going to let the Republicans bring sound devices. So, wow. So the next one is Biden. This really surprised me, but he gets real snippy with people. But he ended up shaking and screaming during an AFL CIO speech. And so it's the largest confederation of union organizations in the United States. The passionate speech saw the president list of his pretend excuses, denying responsibility, and then one reporter had to stand up and it and question him on this. And his answer were changing people's lives and started calling them liars. Um, that really surprised me that he would um, start yelling and screaming. He was even pointing his finger. Wow, wow. But I guess when you don't have an answer, um, yeah, the double standards. If Trump would have done that, the media would have jumped him and they probably would have picketed the White House and they would have done all kinds of things like that. But, it's okay if Biden does this. So, all right, a bill to protect the Supreme Court. Now, this one, but I'm happy kind of with it. But the 27 Dems voting no, and get this, Mitch McConnell's got to go. He was siding with them. He keeps siding with the Democrat Party, and I think he's afraid of them. I think they threaten him. And so, less than a week after the man allegedly attempted to assassinate Kavanaugh, the U.S. House of Representatives passed the bill aimed at strengthening security for the justices immediately and their families. Democrats voted against it, including AOC, that blasted the bill because it doesn't have protection for everyday people. As if that was like, what are they going to do? Protect the protesters? Um, that's kind of what I got from her. And so they did pass it, and it's on Joe Biden's desk for approval. It provides 24-hour protection for Supreme Court justices and their family. And it was passed by the House after receiving unanimous vote in the Senate in May. And then Nancy Pelosi sat on it. No, so get this: it's been sitting there for a month, and I think it took. I believe it was McCarthy and McDonald that got up and just shamed Nancy into putting it on the floor for a vote. See, Nancy won't put nothing on the floor for a vote unless it goes her way. If it goes her way, then she throws it out there. But until then, if she don't have the vote in her direction, it sits. And see, this shouldn't be allowed. If it's put in and it's ready to go, it should be voted on. It should be voted by the Senate, sent to the president's desk, and let the president sit on this, because then they can give the reasons why. But this is what they do all the time, folks. You would not believe all the bills that's sitting on. What I think McCarthy said that it's like 30, 40 bills that's sitting there on her desk because she don't want to pass them, because either she don't have the votes for it or she don't like what the Republicans will get out of it. And we should not have that. She should be there for both sides. No matter if she's Speaker of the House for the Democrats, at least look at it and be fair and level-headed on this stuff. But no, she doesn't. So Mitch McConnell shockingly sells out his constituents and the rest of the GOP on support of gun control. So, he didn't vote for the last bill, but this one here, he plans to vote for the gun bill and the gun new laws. And, if he's going to, why can't he be more like Nancy Pelosi and be a stickler? Basically, for more details, if you really want to read the bill, to me, it's the proposal does not descend into like the David Hogg style nutbaggery, is what it says. But this is through Red State. But it's beyond enhancing school security that has anything to recommend. Anything helping it out, the schools. To me, it's just empty words. And we're going to make sure that they're, They check into the mental health. Sorry, they already do that. If you've got mental health issues, the gun stores will not sell you a gun. And the NRA does not sell guns. So for those that think they do, no. Um, um, there's the red flag law that encourage the bipartisan framework, uh, tie in mental health. Um, the red flag. And it's already done, folks. It's already done. And they say, oh, well, they don't run federal checks. Yes, they do run federal and state checks. And that's sometimes you have to leave, you can't leave the store with the guns until all of those checks are done. And if there's a whole bunch of people that get guns that day, you could have a squeaky clean record, and you're still going to have to wait. And sometimes it's a day, 24 hours, sometimes it's 2 or 3 days. Depends on how many they have to run. So, and the other was they're seeking for no one under 21 to be able to buy a weapon. Well, that's kind of smart. Uh, but think of their youth, the people from 18 to 21 that supported them in all their stuff and their protests. Now going to say, oh, wait a minute, what? We don't get to carry a gun? No, that's going to turn that 18 to 21-year-olds or even up to 25 against them. So, good morning, Karen. How's Karen this morning? Karen, you should have heard that show this morning. You're going to have to go back and watch it. That was pretty good. Um, uh, well, uh, Karen, you got a good question that they don't even know these laws are already in place. Um, they do. These aren't stupid people. They pretty much know that they're in place, but in order for them to be able to ban the guns, they got to bring it back up again. Like it's never happened. Get this. Feinstein was screaming that about 10, 15 years ago. Same thing when federal checks were in state. Um, you just can't go in and buy a gun and walk out with it. Some you can, some of them you can, and I should have got a list for it, but it really doesn't matter because the ones that are the worst, you do have to have a check on this. So um, we'll see how this goes. I think it's gonna stall out. I think they're gonna wait for another shooting and they're gonna jump on it again. But with this, as bad as the crime rate is, I'm thinking that this is how they're going to do it with the crime rate being so high. Boy, the wind has been blowing and I'm itchy today. So we'll get through this. All right, on to the next one. If you guys haven't heard, it was Myra Flores. She was the last. Texas um, had voting yesterday for their primaries, and it was Myra that did the final one that tipped the house or tipped the scales, that has turned Texas red. It has been blue for a very long time, and now it has tipped the scales to red. And hopefully, in a few months, we will have another red state. Now, what I've heard and looked into this morning, there's only 2 states left. I believe that haven't been flipped. California is one. I think New York's the other one. The rest of them are really tipping, and it's borderline of tipping the scales. So let's see what Susan has to say about the guns. They need to ban violent movies with guns. Yeah, because look at what just happened with that one movie what was his name? Sheen? Is it Sheen? I could have the wrong actor that shot that lady. Um, that's when we need to have gun control, is what they're doing on these sets, because they do go on there with supposedly blanks. Now, how many times that it happened to Brandon Lee? He ended up with a gun that was loaded with real bullets. Who is loading these guns? There shouldn't even be a loaded gun anywhere. I mean, what happened to the fake guns they had? I mean, they can make really good fake looking guns look real. Um, and I think it needs to be more concentrated on the sets of these movies too, as well as Baldwin. Okay, this wasn't Sheen, it was Baldwin. So, um, yeah, more and more. Get this, they did a poll. I read a poll this morning on a 25 to 35-year-old from Mexico and South America on do they agree with the socialism that is going on and all of the laws that want to be passed by the Democrats. And they were strong. 78% were saying no, they're not falling for this no more. And not only that, but then we have even illegals that are saying no, we didn't move here for socialism. There is a steady stream that's going back now, and it's only from California. But California is saying, oh, it is that's just people that came to the state and they work here and they actually live in Mexico. So it's not like they're moving back. Well, no, they are moving back in numbers. They what it is a lot in California was migrant workers working for the farms and some of these big, huge farms. And now that the farms have pretty much shut down through the Central Valley of California, they have to go back to Mexico to go to work. And so that's what they're doing. So we are having legal citizens as well as the illegal or the migrant workers that are now moving back to Mexico because there's more jobs there. And so now we're seeing this flow. So it's not only Mexico and South Americans, but now we're even seeing some from over in Europe said they should have stayed over there, even the Middle East. They're saying, they walked all that way for nothing. And why didn't anybody tell them? That's why I keep saying to have these reporters start telling them what this country's all about before they even get here. Get on that big old bullhorn. William, what's the for? I know it ain't about that deep voice thing. That was weird. It was but we won't go there. I'm pretty sure everybody's would love to hear that story, but they're going to have to go back to the weather news this morning and listen to it. So yeah, so there's a somewhat of a steady stream. It's not a big one, folks. It's like 10, 15, a dozen, maybe 2 dozen, maybe it's 4 or 5, but it's my source out of Tijuana that said this. And I told her see if she could get pictures of them going back. And she said, it's mostly women and children going home, to their family. So they're losing their base of illegals. And to me, that's good. Go back and build up your own country. Make your country great. Don't just come here and want freebies. But it seems like that's what they're here for. We have squad members threatening civil war if the GOP takes the House. Now that's something I'm still going to be on David Hodges. This is something I was wanting to discuss because of things I'm finding from my sources at the Capitol. And now this story really does back it up. And I never would have thought it would have been one of the squad that came forward. And of course, he is. And they said they're scrambling to cobble together a case for why they should be reelected and maintain control of the House. And now they're so close that they're seeing all their numbers failing before them. And so basically now we have Bowman, who is a member of the squad, explained that Americans if the Republicans pick up seats and retake Congress in November, they're gonna go and they're gonna start a civil war, or a civil war is coming. So here we go. This is the backup for that, and I'm trying to save it for David Hodges, because then I can explain the whole how it's worked up to this point. So this is to me, um, if it was more than just him saying it, it would really help my case. I don't want to hear about this. That they're, if they don't get their way, and they don't get people in office, they're going to have a civil war. And get this, so now that Pelosi was even asked about it and what she thought, and she just said, well, we can't control what the protesters do. Yeah, they do. They're getting them worked up for like a revolution, is what they've been saying. Now, I don't know if you guys noticed it, but over this last year, they've been talking a revolution. And the media is talking about it, politicians are talking about it, and now we're hearing a civil war. And it's the same thing, just they're using different words. So, so William, what was a about? Uh, Boy, Linda, you should have seen the cutie I had on this morning. Not the guy with the hair. The guy with the hair knocked me for a loop too. But we had a Pequeno. Yeah, Pequeno. It's a little itty bitty Chihuahua. It's the size of my dog's head. And it's my sister's dog. So I put him on. She was watching the show in here this morning, and so I put him on. And I know that Linda and Judith, because Judith's looking for a little dog, and I know she would just love it. He's so tiny, little tiny thing. I mean, he's like, I think my bag of oranges, like 5 oranges, weighs more than he does. This thing's tiny and lightweight, and I was hoping he would do his smile and grumble at me, because it's too darn cute. Kind of like those stinking cute this morning with the skunks. But yeah, Susan's telling everybody in chat how cute he was, and he is. He's a cute little guy. So, all right, onward. Let's get this next one. Now, the prosecutions, it's starting to get to where they're now starting to come out with information on the guy that was going to go after Kavanaugh. And so basically told detectives after he was arrested last week that he was upset about leaked Supreme draft that concerning abortions. It was alleged plot that was the most striking, but hardly the only apparent example of backlash, some which has been violent. And last month's leak of the draft, it's indicated the nation's highest court may vote to overturn, but I don't think so. I think this has angered them. Over there in chat, what do you guys think on this? Do you think that they're going to be bullied into changing their vote, when it was looking with the leak that they weren't going to do this, or weren't really going to address it? Well, see, now they're being bullied, and so the bullies think, okay, we got them, and they're going to do what we want. And if this does happen, and I hope the Supreme Court justices are smart enough to see that if it happens with this one, it's only going to be worse the next time. And they want to say my body, my choice. Yes, it is. Yeah, it is. But when you want to go late term abortion to the point of the baby being born and then deciding, that's just a little too far. So the ruling, I was expecting it yesterday, and I didn't see nothing, and so we'll have to see if it is Um, we'll see if it goes today. Now, 2 days before the protests, a lot of people didn't know about this, but these protesters were firebombing pregnancy centers in Oregon, and the extensive damage, water, smoke, and damage in other parts of the building from this firebombing. And there has been at least 4 attacks and other instances like vandalism. And they're targeting pregnancy centers. This isn't, this is enough is enough. There you go. Enough is enough. I think I read something about that um, yesterday. Yeah. So um, enough is enough. And the firebombing was the latest of at least 4 such attacks and several instances of vandalism that for on pregnancy centers. The headquarters of the pro-life organizations across America have also been attacked, and they're trying to burn them down. Well, oh boy, you have to look at, is this Antifa, or now are the peaceful protesters turned to rioters now? So that's the investigators have to look into this. They really do. And not only that, we have like Chuck Schumer, yelling, "I want to tell you, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released a whirlwind, and this is the price you will pay." And all they got to do is pick up some of these foundations, and according to George Soros, he's got over 500 of them that will put protesters on the ground. And I'm pretty sure Schumer's got his phone number and will do it. And see that now, going back to that last article about the Civil War, that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to call all these protesters to hit the streets, plus call in those that just think that the election might be unfair. But we're going to have to wait and see. We definitely don't need a insurrection, and we don't need protesters claiming they're peaceful throwing Molotovs. So, all right, let's move on with this. And my birds are being noisy today. Satellite images suggest Iran is preparing for a rocket launch. They had this with satellite images, and they know pretty much what to look for. The Pentagon and Department of Defense know what they're looking for when they look at these pictures. And that now what they're seeing is Iran is preparing to launch a rocket. Now, is this going to go to Israel, or is it a test run? They said they do not know. Oh boy, I like this one. The DNC now canceled 4 of Kamala Harris's rallies due to no tickets were sold. So so no rallies for her for the next 4 events that she had set up due to nobody's bought tickets and no one is wanting to show up. So so this is kind of that's what happened with Hillary too. When she was doing hers, it ended up no one showing up. And Biden is having the same thing. Now, what gets me is some of it, and they won't admit to it, the senators and congressmen, the same thing is happening. The people just aren't showing up for these rallies, and they're not buying the tickets. Tickets, when they do that, some of them are just free tickets, but it tells them the support that they have when they get these tickets. And good morning, Linda. You should have seen the cute little dog on this morning, but I won't go back into the little dog. All right. Ozzy Osbourne is discharged from the hospital, and he had, I think it was called neck surgery, and they're not sure if he'll ever recover. And everybody thought it might have been the pandemic, but no, it's He has a lot of medical issues, so he might not ever perform again. And so we'll have to wait and see. And we wish him the best for recovery. Um, Now, this one here, it reminds me of the free needle program. This is a new bill that would create, get this, legal drug injection sites in California. Boy, think on that one. California has moved a step closer Wednesday in creating sites where people could legally use drugs under supervision of and keeps them from dying and keeps them from overdosing by observing the observing those that would be injecting these dangerous uh, drugs. It doesn't say anything about them administering them. They just said they would observe and watch and make sure that they didn't take a lethal dose. Well, how are they going to know a lethal dose? This was my question. When uh, they don't know how their immune system is to, let's say, heroin. Um, and let's say this person's been doing heroin for years. Well, they're not going to have the same um, immunity towards that drug as if someone doing it for the first couple times. So I don't see how it's going to work. But the whole thing is we told them don't give away the needles, and they did it anyway. Now they're going to help them and watch them inject themselves. So yeah, there we go. And it's California. They say Los Angeles, Oakland, and San Francisco will narrowly pass this through the Senate. So, and not only that, but now we're going to have money that we got to pay out for these programs or these places to have observers. Um, and who knows? They haven't even given us the cost of what this is going to be to put this up and how much the taxes would be on California. And me, it's the same thing. Don't do this. Well, you guys know it's going to fail. You just don't observe and help people do drugs. And this is, I have told you guys this before when they were giving them away, and we were so against it. And now here you go. Now this is a new thing. It's almost like they purposely want these drug addicts to do the drugs. Whatever happened to sending them to rehab? Or, what about rehab in a locked up situation and I'm not saying put them in jail, but a type like a jail so they can get the help they need. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And he slipped and fell and dislocated the pins in his neck. Yes, Randy's right. For Ozzy. You guys remember when he bit the head off that bat? Oh my goodness. You know that Alice Cooper did the same thing. And not only that, boy, get this. I went to an Alice Cooper concert when I was younger, back in the day. And he was like, well, we didn't bite the heads off the bats, but he was cutting the heads off dolls and they were bleeding all over the place as he sang Only Women Bleed. I was so grossed out, and I was so mad at my sister for taking me to that concert. But Ozzy claims it wasn't a real bat he bit the head off of, but I think a lot of people in that room that day said it was real. So we don't know. And I think Sharon said it wasn't real either. But I guess this is going to be something for her and Ozzy to get through. And thank you, Randy, for that. For that little bit of info. I knew it, that he had tripped, but he shuffles his feet is the thing. And I tend to do the same thing. I don't pick my feet up because of my legs being so weak. Oh boy. And I trip over a lot of stuff. doing that, like my carpets, like your area carpets, and I'll trip over it. And I think, the way he shuffles his feet, and if you watch him walk, you'll see what I'm talking about. And he has been a very sick man for at least 10 years that I know of, that he has. They even said he had MS like me. Um, so I don't want to get too much into Ozzy, but prayers for him to get better. And I'm sure his fans want him to come back out and sing, um, and perform again. And it's probably going to be, if he does this and able to perform again, it's probably going to be one of his biggest concerts that he has. Okay. Now I'm going to move on from the legal drugs. Oh, no, we don't need to watch people do drugs or support it. Mary, I don't know if you heard this one. There's another U.S. food processing plant that erupted in flames. So here's another one. The last one, I believe, was a chicken plant. This is a food processing plant that went up in flames, according to the local news of Stevens Point Journal. More than 70 firefighters from multiple departments battled a massive fire at the Festive Food in Eastern Portage County. And the Red Cross, where is that? Wisconsin. I'm sorry. It was in Wisconsin. And the Red Cross arrived on the scene shortly to provide food and water to the firefighters. They snapped a couple pictures of the blaze and showing the flames erupting from the facility's roof and a column of dark smoke. So another plant. I think someone is doing this. Someone's behind these plants. That's how many now? Mary, it's over 20, I believe. We're getting close to 30 of these plants that have went up in smoke or exploded, or fires and explosions is basically what we've been seeing. So, all right. I'm just skipping right through these today. Okay, now this one here, did and I as soon as I seen the news clip for it, I just knew. I knew something was wrong. It is the 31 white supremacists that were arrested. And as soon as I read it, I called Mary and I called William and I said, tell me what you think on this. Something isn't right. So the way the story is a person that was concerned said that this U-Haul truck with white males in it looked suspicious. Now, it doesn't say how suspicious or what the U-Haul truck was doing that was suspicious. So they call it in and the police show up and they open up the back and here's all these guys with it was basically protection gear. And they said it was only because they always seemed to go up against Antifa. Well, they didn't necessarily come out and say they were white supremacists. I think the cops kind of nailed that one and nailed the coffin on that one. But to me, it looked very, very wrong. Something didn't fit. And more and more, we're starting to see the news media coming out saying they agree something was wrong here. Their patches. I mean, if you're going to sew a patch on and you want to be proud of it, you don't half sew it so it's falling off your jacket or your shirt. And it was quite a few was like that. Not only that, what's suspicious? I mean, I seen like a half a dozen U-Hauls yesterday. Is that suspicious? And get this, it was always white drivers. So did they have white supremacy in the back of the U-Haul? It just, to me, none of this makes sense. And it's very concerning to me that they would do this. And even, okay, so the thing is the FBI has even had a whistleblower come through and said He heard about it a couple days prior. What did he hear? Well, they're not going to let us know. They're definitely not going to let us know. Oh boy, you guys aren't going to like this one. Prepare tax rates. Here we go. Because um, um, there are certain, and now it says they're going to cancel this $5 billion loan thing, not loan, the loans with the colleges. And it says that, okay, let me pull this up. I'm waiting for it to load up. All right, there we go. Biden administration cancels the $5.8 billion in student loan debt. The federal loans of 560,000 borrowers who attended the Corinthian colleges will be forgiven. The department approved $1 billion of full loan discharges for borrowers attended the campuses owned and operated by the Corinthian colleges. I don't know what that is. This is the largest single loan discharge in history of the department. Now, the investigation into the Corinthian, which was conducted during Camilla's time in California Attorney General, played a key role in developing findings against the for-profit college. As of today, every student received a student deceived, defrauded, and driven into debt by the Corinthian colleges can rest assured that Biden and Harris administration has their back and will discharge their federal student loans. Now, yeah, how fair is that to a lot that paid? And why is it only that certain? Is that something they own? Is that something that someone else owns that they don't like? A CEO, perhaps? Just don't. Um, um, Explain what, Linda? Oh, yeah. Well, in a way, Karen, they do want to depopulate. But I think it's they can't even get that far anymore. And that's what I'm glad of, is because they've got all these other scandals that they can't even get to, wanting to depopulate us because it's happening. Look at how many died during the pandemic. And now we got monkeypox. And not only that, but look at the crime rate that just as many hundreds of people that were killed. So, uh, China um, competition bill in Congress gets support um, from more than 100 CEOs. And tech CEOs sent Congress a letter asking for an agreement on China competition bill. And the executives and more than 100 others signed this letter urging the U.S. House of Representatives and Senate, which have passed different versions of the legislation, to each reach an agreement and send a bill to Joe Biden for his signatures. Um, the global competitors are investing in their industry, their workers, and their economies, and imperative the Congress act and enhance U.S. Competitiveness. So, wow. So we did sanctions against them, and now we got this bill with Congress that gets support from more than 100 CEOs. Uh, when I looked at that, that's probably what I'm going to send to William today, is that how, we're doing all these sanctions, but at the same time giving them money. It's like, we'll take away, but here, we're going to give this to you. So don't get mad. Don't get mad. Is this saving us from a war with China? Or is this, whose pocket does this help? Because this is almost one of them China competition bill that you need someone like a private investigator or someone that looks into this to really take a look to see what's going to happen before China decides to strike. And they don't like our news. They think we are disrespectful to politicians. But at the same time, then they want to do away with politicians. And they want to do away with capitalism. And oh boy, folks, boy, I tell you, um, oh, get this. The Republicans say, and it may seem like a long time, okay? They say it's going to take 7 years to fix what Biden and this administration just did. 7 years. So don't get discouraged if you don't see them jump in, and let's say they put the open up the pipelines, and they try to put all the main things back, like opening more than just one port. It's still going to take 7 years to squash what the Democrats have done. It's going to take a lot of votes, a lot of votes. Or if we can't vote them out, then we're going to have to use a recall, and that takes time and signatures. Okay. Texas town city council is considering moving their minimum wage to $22 an hour. That will squash small businesses. They're barely able to do $15 an hour right now, but 22, that's just ungodly. I mean, I know they really, really want to do this and make it so low income can live. We'll fix the communities and invest in the communities and the people uh, more than just raising minimum wage to 22 an hour. Wow. Wow. Now this one, folks, any of you bought Apple AirTags? It is supposed to help people track their belongings, like a purse, or someone comes up and snatch and grabs. These AirTags. Um, it was put out by China, and now we're finding out that it's not been about you tracking your stuff. It's about them tracking us. And but not only that, but they're being used to commit crimes at the same time. Um, don't get them. Don't get them. The police departments in California, especially, and Texas, um, don't they want the 22 minimum? You say, oh, you wait a minute, you said California. Yeah, California wants this too, because of how expensive it is to live there, and they think 22 is going to do it. All it's going to do is crumble small businesses. So um, yes, yes. Susan, you make a very big statement that I'm hearing when I talk to people. If you're going to raise minimum wage, then those of us who make around the same amount need to have your salary bumped up too. It's only fair. Now, for those that don't really know that they don't do this, they will get this. So let's say you have 5 employees and they're all making uh, $13 an hour right now. Well, the new recruit that comes in that don't know nothing that you have to train now is going to get the 15. So now you have someone you're training making more money than you, and your boss won't raise everybody else to the same to make it equal. I think that this is where you have to, if you're good at your job and you are, you're willing to work hard, um, bump their salaries up with it. This happens in hospitals a lot too with hospital workers. They're so stingy and so greedy that the higher ups are getting all that money, that when they hire in new people, they're making $2, $3 more than the ones that are training them. Yeah. So it's not right. It's not right. And see, I thought that's what they were going to do, because they said everybody, straight across the board. Well, not when you're only doing it for certain people that are coming back to into the workplace, and the ones that's made it through this, that came in and they worked overtime, they worked doubles and stayed late. They need to be have their pay raised. Um, so why not? If they're, it's already really killing our small businesses, but it's only fair. It's like Linda, was it? No, Susan said it. It's only fair. It's only fair. But they want everyone, and then they say, well, you're not supposed to tell anybody what you make. Well, employees talk to one another. You could say, oh, don't tell nobody, don't tell your coworkers. That's the first thing they're going to do, is go out and tell them. So, all right. Um, Heck, we're just about done today. Um, so those air tags, don't do it. They're gonna track your stuff. I just want to reiterate that, because a lot of people are buying them. Don't do it. Do not do it. All right. June. So if you were here earlier, I did a thing on the 5 planets that are aligning. Um, so those that missed it, it's the 5 naked eye planets that are visible through this month, according to the reports. Sky and Telescope magazine and publications by American Astronomical. I don't think I said that right. Yeah, I said it right. Astronomical Society say that the viewers can see Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, and in their order from the sun throughout this month, with Mercury easier to spot. Uh, they said it is going to be best in the morning sky for the next, in the morning sky over the last few months, but including close injunctions is beginning to break it up. So get out there in the morning and catch it. See if you can see some of these planets. I think that's kind of weird in itself. Okay. NASA is building a team to study UFOs. And I've told you about this before, and I thought it stemmed from what we've seen at Skinwalker Ranch. Now they have their season 3. If you guys hadn't seen it, I think it's towards the end, where at one point they had saw these. It's like the size of a volleyball, they say, and it's an orb. Now we've seen TikTok with the other ones and a few others that look like orbs or the flying saucers. And now that Skinwalker Ranch, they start seeing it. And the thing was, they wanted to shoot one of those small rockets up to see if they could cause a reaction over a certain area. And when they did it, then this orb appeared. So they tried the test 2 or 3 more times, and they're finding when they shoot a rocket in that area that this orb appears, and it like moves around for a while before it fades out. So it depends on where she's at, Randy, because there's 2 um, YouTube platforms. There's some using 2, there's some using network, and then of course we have Facebook. Linda was confused about that too, that she was talking and no one could see her. And she was asking who's on what platform. So some, I think most are on the Investigator News 2. Then we have Investigators Network. And then I think that's what's going on. And if you're on one, you can't see into the other one. So I'm sorry. So it's not Mary can't see your comments, but she's on a different platform than you. And if you were on the other one, then she'd be able to see you. Who's on first? Yeah, Nick's on first, always. And where's Nick been? New uh, uh, Nick is always on first. So who's on first? I don't know, Linda. There, maybe we need to do a show of hands. Who's on network and then who's on two? Because if no one's answering you and it seems like you're there by yourself, more likely you are. And it seems like network is the one with less on it. And if you go to two, where there's more of the viewers, they're all over there. So, let's see if I got where I'm at here. Okay, the other one I want to kind of go back to. It's about the Iran preparing for that rocket. And the thing with this one is that the satellite image picked it up. And so now Iran is, they say, for a space launch. And it'll be today. Nope, tomorrow. It was yesterday. So the images show the rocket in the rural desert launch. And basically all tensions started running high. And no, they say one sent images that showed a rocket on the transporter preparing to lift it. And they said it's bigger than the last one and it looks nuclear. And this was by militarynews.com. So this is very concerning for a lot of people, because are they going to send it to Israel? And or is this another just a practice run? Now, North Korea recently shot one in the water and destroyed some, I believe, some of the fish and even underwater features that they never should have shot into. So now we have Iran boosting up what they're doing, and North Korea keeping going what they have been doing, but this time they're shooting them into the water. And if they're active and explode, of course, you're going to lose fish. And see, what I'm thinking is if China had this, they would be blowing up fish over in Australia. So I'm going to, you got to kind of keep your eye open for those. So, Abbott and Costello are the best. My quirky sense of humor. Yeah, some of our quirky sense of humor will get YouTube to kind of ban you in a way. I think that happened to a couple of you already, where they said something in joke and they were banned off the platform for it. Yeah, I have one of them quirky sense of humor. So with that, folks, let me check my notes. I want to make sure I didn't forget nothing here. Oh, the pet shop. I almost forgot that. I knew I had something left I hadn't done. There is a pet shop that's sparking controversy. And what it is, it's banning people from adopting pets if they do not, and this isn't because they have guns. This is because they refuse to not to support strict gun control measures. And the shelter is one of them. So if you're adopting, you might make sure you know everything that is under their adoption laws, policies, and rules, because now they're wanting that if you want to adopt a pet through an agency like your local animal shelter, and that question's on there and you lie and they find out, it's jail time. It's jail time. So, all right, me and William have a show tonight, and I'll get my info off to him. And I know he's got some great things to say tonight. It's going to be a great show. Um, and if you have not watched the Morning Weather Show, go on back and watch it. It was really cute today. Funny for Ellie, but the funny list was what to say to telemarketers, and it was pretty goofy. So subscribe and share, and hit the like button, hit that bell, hit the bell if you're not getting notifications. Hit the bell. Um, Over in Facebook, I want to thank all of our new viewers and those sharing over there. Um, I really, we really appreciate this, and it means a lot to Ellie. So hit the like button, and you guys have a wonderful day, a wonderful Wednesday. And me and William will be back tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time with some military report for you. Um, it seems like Ukraine isn't doing so well, and they're demanding more weapons. So, with that, you guys have a blessed afternoon, and we will see you tonight. And God bless. Bye bye, folks.